There was 3 of us in the back and 2 pilots in the front. And like I was telling you, I had just woke up and I sat up and I filled out the immigration card, and I have rode or flew on a lot of other turbulent aircrafts. And when I was in the Army, I was a paratrooper, and we used to fly a craft we called the Flying Boxcar. It was an old World War II craft, and it shook and rattled and made so much noise, and the wings flexed that you were glad to get out the door when you got to the drop zone. So as we were going over on this was a Cessna 401, a 8-passenger plane. It was a smooth flight, and we were getting ready to land, and it got rather turbulent, but I was still half asleep, and I wasn't concerned about it, and nobody alarmed me, you know.
But didn't you see the ground coming up rather quickly?
I wasn't looking outside. I was just, you know, sitting back there. And Rick was sitting in front of me. He was facing me, sitting aft, as it's called, and he had unbuckled his seatbelt and got up in the cockpit. He was a pilot, too. He knew more about something was wrong up front than I did. So he unbuckled his seatbelt and stuck his head up in the cockpit. You know, there's a small area inside of a small plane like that. And he turned around and he sat down in his seat and he said, "It's seatbelt time. We're coming in." That's all he told me. He didn't say, "Hey, the ground's coming up quick. Prepare for impact or prepare for crash."
Or the trees are looking pretty large now.
He didn't say anything like that. So I'm still sitting in my chair nonchalantly, you know. And my seatbelt was loose. I'd kept it. Sometimes I unbuckled my seatbelt during a flight, but that was a short flight, and I decided to leave it loose and leave it on. And I'm glad I did, because, you know, I would have never had time to buckle it back up, because when we impacted, my seatbelt was still on, but it was fastened loose, and that's probably what gave me the whiplash. Was I, you know, I was jostled around inside my harness.
Now this plane was
like
just totally destroyed, Robert.
It was totally destroyed.
And you weren't, you guys weren't even burned.
In 25 minutes, that plane was ashes.
That's not a barbecue pit. That's the remainder of that aircraft right there. It's incredible that you.
The co-pilot went out through the windshield. He was ejected. The whole cockpit was knocked completely off the craft, and he was ejected out right through the windshield. And he found us later, about 5 minutes later, wandering around. We found him wandering around outside. He found us when we were pulling out the pilot. John was sitting on the right side. He'd never been on a plane before in his life, and he was frantic. He was really coming.
You were saying that
apart. I don't know how.
Was it Frank, the guy that he was? Well, no, he was the one that was screaming.
Yeah, he was the one screaming. He was the one standing up in that picture there.
There's some pictures here where these men are a little bit bloody, and I don't want to show that because I don't want to.
But they're in good shape.
Yeah, they're in good
blood
shape
on them, and they look a little.
But now here's another picture
ugly
of the plane, and it's absolutely.
That's about 10 minutes after impact.
It's burning to a crisp.
That ball of fire right there is the door that 3 of us exited before the flames crawled up there and engulfed the craft 10 minutes later. The pilot was under the wreckage in the front where I found him. The guy that was sitting in front of me, Rick, his seat come off the floor, and he was flying around inside like a ping pong ball, and he landed behind me by the back door when we halted. And he opened the back door and tried to jump out, but he couldn't get out because his seatbelt was still strapped to his back. So he unbuckled his seatbelt, and he popped his quick release, and he jumped on out the back door, and then he pulled his seat out. And then John, who was the frantic one, he jumped out behind him, and I said, "Well, you know, there's nothing on the front of the plane. I don't know where the pilot and the co-pilot are, but I can't see them." So I popped my seatbelt, and I stood up to get out, and I looked down in that hole, and there was a pilot upside down with his feet sticking up like this, you know, and he had turned almost 180-degree turn upside down. So I said, I didn't know whether he was dead or alive, you know. I says, "Well, if I get him out, they can bury what's left of him," you know. So I pulled on him, but I couldn't budge him. And I kept looking at him, and something was wrong there, and his body was folded up so tight, I couldn't see the seatbelt had him pinned in. So I popped a quick release on his seatbelt, and I pulled on him, and man, he's 225 pounds. You know, I'm 180 something then. And I still couldn't budge him because he's upside down in a hole, pinned to the wreckage, even after I got his seatbelt unbuckled.
Man.
So I run to the back door and I screamed something. I don't even know what it was. I don't think it was help, but there was an audible vibrations that came out of my mouth that said, "Come back inside, somebody." So Rick jumped back inside and we rolled Timothy Hahn, the pilot, upside down out of that hole.
Oh, good.
Without any care about the condition of our actions, because the flames were coming on too fast to try to remove him in a proper legal manner like a medical person would do. We just jerked him out of there and rolled him upside down, drug him outside.
I'm sure he appreciated that by the time that plane caught on fire. I mean,
well, maybe he'll have a chance. Yeah. And he got outside. We got him outside, and he started moaning and groaning. And we said, well, he's got a chance then. And about 10 minutes later, he started talking. He got back conscious. It had knocked him out. The yoke had went through his forehead. He had a hole in his forehead right here about the size of a quarter,
now
or half a dollar, which I didn't find till later.
The rescue crews did begin to come. You may want to point with your pen again.
The rescue crew showed up exactly 1 hour later.
Oh, man. Real quick response, huh?
We were 1 mile from the airport, and nobody could find us because they didn't have a road, a real good road to there. And when they did find us, they didn't have anything but Band-Aids and a few other minor first aid items, but no compression dressings or no serious, no aspirins, no water, no saline.
What is this picture here now?
That's just evacuation chopper there, back at the airport at Marsh Harbor, Abaco, Bahama, is where it was actually at. It's one of the larger islands in the Bahama, a rural island in the northeast corner of the Bahama chain, and Marsh Harbor's the capital of it. At the headquarters there at the airport, there's no radio tower. You can only talk to the other airplanes. There was 2 airplanes on that crusade from Air Mobile Ministries, and the first one landed before us safely, and they were so shocked that we didn't come in 10 minutes behind them, and they seen that cloud of black smoke out there and got on their radio when they were sitting on the ground and talked to some of the other pilots and had them fly by that smoke and told them, yeah, we were there. They could see all 5 of us outside the craft, and they thought that all 5 of us were alive. By the grace of God, we were, and God took care of us.
I was just thinking that there were 5 of you there, and that plane was totally destroyed.
Totally destroyed.
You were saved and weren't really critically injured. And I kept thinking about the verse, the angel of the Lord encampeth round about them that fear him.
Amen.
And that must have been the hand of the Lord to just scoop you guys up and literally place you on the solid ground and save you, Robert.
Amen. 10% survive an air crash. If it's 100 feet or 10,000 feet off the ground, it's the same thing.
There may be somebody today in your life, boy, it looks like you're going down and it's going to be a bad one, you know, and you may be looking. Here's another picture, guys. I want to relate this maybe to somebody's life. Okay, well, they're going to take it again here. Bill's going to zoom in there. Maybe you're thinking that looks like your life there, but you're not going to get out alive. I don't know, but Jesus can make a way where there is no way, can he, Robert?
Amen. He will. He said he would never leave you or forsake you, and he would be there with you till the end.
If there was ever an impossibility, that would seem like one right there.
Because it sure looked like you guys should have gone up in flames too. These pictures are just amazing. And
that was more traumatic than Vietnam. I had a mine blast in Vietnam at 20 feet standing up. It put me in the hospital for 2 months. And that incident there was more traumatic than that. And I didn't know this was coming, like I was telling you. I was just sitting there nonchalantly, and there was no time to get scared.
See, that's
it happened and it was over. It was like 4 seconds.
You need to be ready to know the Lord.
We had halted.
We got to take a break. And it was wonderful to have you today.
It was great to be
that's
here.
exciting to hear the safety and the hand of the Lord being upon your lives.
Yes, you did a wonderful job.
A missionary trip's like this, though. If you ever get a chance to go on one, it's greater than a vacation, you know. The interaction that you gain from going out. I've been out 6 times. I'm going out again. I'm going to Romania sometime next year, and hopefully to Russia with the Carpenters Home on one of their outreaches. And I want to do more. This will not slow me down. This will speed me up. I know that greater is he that's in me than he that is in the world. And he took me this far, He's going to take me on through. I'm persuaded that He is able to keep that which I have committed as unto that day.
Amen, brother. We've got to take a break. We'll be back in just a moment with more Together Again. Stay right there and don't go away.